Who are we to judge what is evil and what is not?
Hi, I'm Vernon and this is Kit, and we just watched Hellboy. Kit, what did we just watch?
We watched a superior version of Hellboy compared to the original.
The original, first, second, or both?
Both.
The original was made by Guillermo del Toro, starring Ron Perlman, so that's some huge claims you're making there. But let's take it from the top. Mila Jovovich plays Nimue, a 5th century British witch who's apparently immortal and was cut up into pieces by King Arthur, that legendary King Arthur, and now someone's trying to gather her together so that she can complete her original task of unleashing plague and apocalypse on mankind.
With an American accent.
Somehow or other, it will involve convincing Hellboy or tempting Hellboy into submitting to his evil destiny of bringing apocalypse to mankind as well.
Who are we to judge what is evil and what is not?
Which is the whole point Mila Jovovich's character is making in this film.
I'm not so concerned about the overall plot. I'm more concerned about the pacing, because the first two Hellboy movies had a problem with pacing. They spent too much time in the Batcave. That really killed the momentum. This was like action.
Pacing wise, we don't think there's any issue here. It's very fast paced, even for 2 hours. It's a lot of action sequences.
It's a bit like Roland Emmerich. I like his stuff because it's just like, it just goes. It's just movement, action.
This Hellboy movie has a lot of jokes and joshing around and quips.
Aside from the pacing, it was also quite quirky. I mean, the trailer shows Hellboy with like full-grown horns and a pot of fire on his head rising up the ground.
It's a crown of fire. It's not a pot of fire.
I mean, when I saw that
symbolism. It's a literal crown of fire on his head. That, of course, is in every Hellboy movie that we've watched so far. Hellboy is always tempted to fulfill his destiny as some kind of demonic harbinger of apocalypse who will reign over a desolate earth. The crown of fire is kind of new in this one.
So the whole movie was like that. They had these like really nice quirky touches. It starts off with a wrestling match where there's a...
Hellboy has to wrestle a masked lucha libre wrestler
to the soundtrack of Rock You Like a Hurricane in Spanish. There was also like a lot of foreshadowing. The foreshadowing was done very nicely. You don't really notice it unless maybe you're a wannabe writer.
It all has to do with Hellboy and his sidekick's abilities.
Yeah, so you see Daniel Tim like injecting himself, and you don't know why.
He kind of really needs it.
You find out why in the finale. The other sidekick, the girl he saved when she was a baby,
played by Sasha Lane,
she can talk to the dead, and she does that early on in the movie, and you think, it's just part of the plot, part of the character.
We only need to see that one time, right?
Yeah, but it's actually foreshadowing for her to use it again in the finale. But that was well done.
Hellboy has a vision in the middle of the film of him destroying the world. You think that he has averted that vision, but actually no. It's actually foreshadowing again for the finale.
And it sounds totally nuts, but there's a tie-in to the Arthurian legend. And it works. I mean, it's really ridiculous, but it still works. I'm not going to give away any spoilers here. The director is not someone I've noticed before. I don't really remember his name, but he did Dog Soldiers. He also did Doomsday, both of which were very good, low-budget British action movies.
And speaking about the budget, it's not official, but it's been reported behind the scenes that it's actually a lower budget than the first two Hellboy movies. They've got monster designs that seem inspired by Guillermo del Toro style.
That I have to give that to him. His creature designs were good. The visuals were good. What really stood out to me was the fight with the three giants. The impressive thing was the way they constrained the audience's view of the battlefield of
And
the giants.
perspective. They played a lot with perspective. Looking at the credits, I think there was a mix of motion capture and modeling.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. I mean, how they implemented it, but it's the visualization. See? So what they did was
And storyboarding.
they kept the field of view of the camera very narrow, so you couldn't see like where the giants were all the time.
Even though they're supposed to be huge, gigantic, and easily noticeable.
No, come on.
But, in the heat of the battle, you don't notice huge giant things.
So that added to the sort of tension, even though
And comedy
Yeah.
of the action scene.
Yeah, because-
you get Hellboy being whacked and thrown across the landscape by three very angry giants, and from coming out of nowhere.
yeah, so it's not really tension because they played it for laughs and it worked.
What makes this Hellboy movie great is that most of the action scenes are played for laughs.
And the laughs worked. And it's not just the action scenes. It's like even the small little quips.
Between Hellboy and his father, who is now played by Ian McShane because John Hurt is dead.
And the relationship with the two sidekicks also work. The two sidekicks are like almost three-dimensional.
In this movie, Miller has the biggest role, but I think she was severely underused.
They didn't really develop the character that way.
Yeah, compared to say the villain from Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, which has actually the same motivations for taking over the world and tempting Hellboy as Mila Jovovich's character in this movie. I think that the villain from The Golden Army actually was much better developed.
I was just more interested in the villain sister.
This Hellboy movie really follows the vertical/dark horse sensibilities.
This is probably all thanks to the success of Deadpool.
Even though you can watch it for the comic book humor, comic book gore, comic book horror, this Hellboy movie does nothing different story-wise from the first two Hellboy movies at all.
But it's a lot more watchable.
It's a lot tighter.
Pacing. The flashbacks were like straight exposition, but it felt okay. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, and some of the flashbacks are actually quite comical. There's the flashback to Hellboy's origin, the classic origin where Hellboy is summoned by Nazi scientists, occult Nazi scientists in the middle of World War II. And a flashback that doesn't need to be retold over and over again. But this time round, when they retold it as a flashback scene, it was actually comical because of, I think, the costume design. The Nazis look like something out of a comic book.
Out of a music video.
It's like Mad Magazine doing a spoof of the comics that inspired Indiana Jones.
It's like a Billy Idol music video.
Yeah, you've got the Nazis in some ridiculous uniform wearing what look like 3D glasses and
red and blue goggles.
yes, 3D glasses. What else could it be, right? And then you've got Rasputin dressed up in what can only be charitably described as a Halloween cosplay costume.
But it was a short scene. It was like, what, 2 to 4 minutes?
Yes, it's ridiculous as hell, but 10 out of 10 for style and impact.
I mean, compared to like the original, that one was really draggy. That was like, what, 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah, that was 10 minutes, and that was a prologue of the first film. Overall, I'd say it's a well-made film with a so-so story, but if you compare it to the other two Hellboy films, they had great stories, but they weren't that well made, despite having Guillermo del Toro directing.
And unlike, say, a Batman or Spider-Man or Superman reboot, this doesn't really cover much of the same ground as the original. So,
aside from Hellboy going through the usual temptations by some villain to achieve his destiny,
But this is the overall arc. The details are like completely different, so you're not bored because I've seen this before.
Yeah, it feels familiar, but it's a take that's kind of somewhat different and different enough from the first two films.
Actually, watching the trailer, I didn't realize it was a reboot. I didn't even realize it wasn't Ron Perlman because all the makeup you don't really notice.
This is actually David Harbour,
who is as good as Ron Perlman. I thought he carried it off quite well. Right, his presence, his voice, his attitude. He was really Hellboy.
Angsty teenager Hellboy,
Cynical.
who has screaming matches with his dad. This is a movie that probably I don't mind watching again on TV.
Yeah, because of the pacing. And if you are a fan of the original movies, don't be put off that this is a remake. Go watch it. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's actually better than the originals.
Oh, and before I forget, there are two post-credits scenes. So you stay back until really right till the very end. Okay, we gotta go.
Okay, then see us next week or the week after as we decide what else we want to review for you.
Bye.